For 8 seasons, Bewitched cast a spell on the world.
I am a witch.
A real, house-haunting, broom-riding, cauldron-stirring witch.
But the final, most powerful spell was one of silence, meant to cover up the real reason the show vanished. A forbidden scene, not a magical trick, but a moment of devastating human drama, is the secret key to its sudden demise. The network didn't want you to know. The stars couldn't talk about it. Magic ruled the airwaves. Bewitched was more than just a TV show. It was a cultural phenomenon. When it first aired on September 17, 1964, nobody could have predicted the spell it would cast over America. You see, in an era of straightforward family sitcoms, Bewitched offered something entirely new, a magical twist on suburban life. The series, created by Saul Sachs, told the story of Samantha, a beautiful and powerful witch played by the enchanting Elizabeth Montgomery, who falls in love with and marries a mortal man, Darren Stevens. The central conflict was simple yet brilliant. Samantha promises her husband she will give up witchcraft to live a normal life as a housewife. This promise, of course, was hilariously and consistently broken in every single one of the 254 episodes. The show was an instant hit. The thing nobody tells you is just how massive it was. During its first season, Bewitched became the number 2 rated show in the entire country, right behind Bonanza. It was a ratings powerhouse for ABC, a network that desperately needed a hit. What many overlooked was the sheer creative genius behind the show's magic. In a time long before computer-generated imagery, the special effects team had to be incredibly inventive. Samantha's signature nose twitch, which could make anything happen, was a simple yet iconic effect. But bringing her larger spells to life required a ton of on-set trickery. Objects would float using hidden wires, characters would disappear through trapdoors, and scenes would freeze in time using a technique called stop-motion photography, where actors had to hold perfectly still for long periods. It was painstaking work, but the result was pure on-screen magic that captivated audiences week after week. The most shocking fact is that Elizabeth Montgomery herself came up with the famous nose twitch. It wasn't even in the original script. The show's success wasn't just about special effects, it was about the characters. Elizabeth Montgomery was the heart of the show, perfectly balancing Samantha's otherworldly charm with a relatable, down-to-earth sweetness. Dick York, the original Darren Stevens, was the perfect comedic partner, his flustered reactions to the magical chaos providing endless laughs. And then there was Agnes Moorehead as Endora, Samantha's formidable and snobbish mother, who despised Darren, whom she never called by his correct name, and constantly tried to break up their marriage with her meddling spells. The chemistry between the cast was electric, and you can see this everywhere in the early seasons. Their comedic timing was flawless, making the unbelievable premise feel oddly believable. For millions of viewers, the Stevens home at 1164 Morning Glory Circle was a comforting and magical place to visit every week. It was the perfect escape, a blend of fantasy and everyday problems that resonated deeply with the American public. The show was so influential it even changed how people saw witches, turning them from scary figures into charming, lovable characters. But not all things are what they seem, and behind this perfect illusion, a dark reality was beginning to form, one that no magical spell could fix. The magical illusion was about to be shattered by a grim reality, when Darren disappeared. The magic of Bewitched relied on the perfect chemistry of its cast, especially the bond between Samantha and Darren. But in 1969, during the show's 5th season, that chemistry was shattered by a real-life event so traumatic, it can only be described as the first forbidden scene in the show's downfall. This wasn't a scene of witchcraft. It was a moment of intense human suffering. The actor who played Darren, Dick York, had been hiding a secret for years. To put it mildly, he was in unimaginable pain. Years earlier, while filming a movie in 1959, York suffered a catastrophic back injury. He tore most of the muscles on the right side of his back, an injury that would leave him in chronic, debilitating pain for the rest of his life. What many overlooked during the early years of Bewitched was the incredible physical toll the show took on him. The scripts often called for physical comedy, and the long hours on set were grueling. York pushed through the agony, becoming increasingly dependent on powerful painkillers just to get through the day. The production crew tried to accommodate him, building special slanted boards for him to lean on between takes. But his condition worsened. Many people are crazy about the illusion of Hollywood, but the reality can be brutal. York's health was deteriorating rapidly. The most shocking fact is that sometimes the pain was so intense he would have seizures on set. The cast and crew did their best to cover for him, but it was becoming an open secret that something was terribly wrong. Then came the forbidden scene. During the filming of the episode, Daddy Does His Thing, the years of pain finally caught up with him. While filming a scene that required him to be perched on a platform, the hot studio lights caused his body temperature to spike. He began to feel faint and started shaking uncontrollably. He was in the middle of a violent seizure. Director William Asher, Elizabeth Montgomery's husband, rushed to his side. York was immediately taken to the hospital. He never returned to the Bewitched set again. This on-set collapse was the moment the magic bubble burst. It was a raw, terrifying event that the producers couldn't hide. Dick York had to leave the show he helped build. The network decided to recast the role, a move that is often a death sentence for a beloved show. Actor Dick Sargent was brought in to become the new Darren, but for many fans, the spell was broken. The seamless illusion of the perfect suburban couple was gone, and the show's ratings began a slow but steady decline. Dick York's suffering was the first crack in the show's perfect facade. But another, more personal drama was brewing, one that would prove fatal: love and lies on set. While the departure of Dick York was a major blow, the thing nobody tells you is that a far more personal and scandalous drama was unfolding behind the scenes. This was the true forbidden scene, a story of love, lies, and betrayal that would ultimately lead Elizabeth Montgomery to walk away from the show forever. You see, the director and executive producer of Bewitched was William Asher, who was also Montgomery's husband. On the surface, they were a Hollywood power couple, collaborating on one of the most successful shows in history. But their marriage was anything but magical. By the later seasons, their relationship was falling apart, and the tension on set was becoming unbearable for everyone involved. The most shocking fact is that both Montgomery and Asher were engaging in affairs, turning the set into a minefield of personal drama. What many overlooked was the immense pressure Montgomery was under. She was the star of the show, a mother to 3 young children, and the wife of her own boss. She reportedly grew tired of Asher's controlling nature and his own infidelities. It was during this turbulent time that she began a secret relationship with one of the show's other directors, Richard Michaels. This affair was a quiet rebellion, a desperate search for happiness in a crumbling marriage. The romance between the star and her director created a complicated and tense atmosphere on set. Everyone knew what was going on, but no one could talk about it. It was a forbidden secret that cast a dark shadow over the show's light-hearted comedy. You can see this everywhere if you look closely at the final season. Montgomery's enthusiasm for the role of Samantha had clearly faded. She was tired of the character, tired of the show, and most of all, tired of her marriage. The magic was gone, both on and off the screen. Her affair with Michaels was the final straw. It solidified her decision that she needed to move on with her life. The network, ABC, actually wanted to continue the show and offered her an enormous contract for 2 more seasons. But Montgomery refused. Her personal life was in turmoil, and she knew she couldn't continue working so closely with her estranged husband. She ended the show on her own terms. The official story was that the show had simply run its course, but the reality was a deeply personal and painful one. The forbidden scene wasn't something that was filmed. It was the quiet, heartbreaking collapse of a marriage that happened right there on the set, in front of everyone. The end of her relationship with William Asher was the end of Bewitched. So how did it all officially come to an end? The finale was stranger than you'd think. Samantha's last nose twitch. With the behind-the-scenes turmoil reaching a boiling point, the quality of Bewitched on screen began to suffer dramatically. To put it mildly, the final 2 seasons were a shadow of the show's former glory. The departure of Dick York, and the visible fatigue of its leading lady were just part of the problem. The thing is, after more than 200 episodes, the writers were simply running out of ideas. The once fresh and inventive storylines became stale and repetitive. Many people are crazy about Bewitched, but even die-hard fans couldn't ignore what was happening. In seasons 7 and 8, the show began recycling entire scripts from earlier seasons, sometimes with only minor changes. An episode from season 2 would be remade with the new Darren, hoping the audience wouldn't notice. But they did. This creative bankruptcy was a clear sign that the magic was fading. The show that had once been a beacon of originality was now just going through the motions. The ratings, which had once been sky-high, continued to slide. The competition was getting tougher, with new, more socially relevant sitcoms like All in the Family changing the face of television. Bewitched, with its simple, fantasy-based world, started to feel like a relic from a bygone era. What many overlooked is that despite the decline, the show was still popular enough for the network to want more. ABC renewed it for a 9th and 10th season, a testament to the enduring love for the characters. But the decision was not up to them. This brings us to the final, quiet end. There was no grand finale episode. There was no emotional farewell. The last installment of Bewitched to air, The Truth, Nothing But the Truth, So Help Me Sam, was just a regular episode that ended like any other. It wasn't even the last one filmed. The network simply stopped airing new episodes on March 25, 1972, leaving audiences hanging. For viewers at home, it felt like the show just vanished into thin air. One week it was a television giant, the next it was gone, replaced by reruns. The official story points to one person, Elizabeth Montgomery. Her difficult marriage to the show's director William Asher was over, and she was ready to hang up Samantha's pointy hat for good. She walked away, and without its star, the show could not go on. But over the years, darker theories have swirled, fueled by the show's bizarre and tragic aftermath. What many people don't realize is that a shadow seemed to follow the cast, leading to whispers of the Bewitched curse. Agnes Moorehead, the iconic Endora, passed away just 2 years after the finale. Both Dick Sargent, the second Darren, and Paul Lynde, the mischievous Uncle Arthur, met untimely ends. Was the show's abrupt cancellation the first sign that the magic had soured? A prelude to the tragedies that would follow? An even wilder theory points to the turbulent times. By 1972, the world was a different place. Some speculate that conservative network heads grew uncomfortable with the image of a powerful, independent witch who could solve any problem with a simple twitch of her nose. Did Samantha Stevens become too subversive for prime time? The most forbidden theory whispers of a lost final script, one that was never filmed because it went too far. A story where Samantha perhaps used her magic to interfere in politics, or finally left Darren for good, shattering the sitcom's cozy foundation. A scene so revolutionary that the network chose to pull the plug rather than let it air. Whatever the reason, it was an unceremonious end for an 8-year television giant. The real forbidden scene, a culmination of pain, betrayal, and exhaustion, had finally brought the curtain down. It may not have been a spell that ended Bewitched, but the messy, complicated, and very human realities of the people who created the magic, and perhaps some mysteries we were never supposed to solve. The story of Bewitched is a reminder that even the most magical illusions can be shattered by reality. But was it fair for one person's personal life to end a show beloved by millions? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more hidden stories.